The quietest man in the room often holds the loudest storm inside. Sigma men are living proof of that truth. They move through life calmly, often misunderstood because they don't fit into the loud, aggressive mold that people expect from strong men. But don't get it twisted. A Sigma man's kindness is a choice, not a weakness. He's the kind of person who would rather build than destroy, rather walk away than escalate, and rather understand than attack. But if you push him far enough, you'll quickly realize you weren't dealing with a sheep. You were poking a sleeping lion. The reason Sigma men are both the nicest and the most dangerous is simple. They've mastered themselves. They know their power, but they don't feel the need to prove it. They carry patience like a sword they choose not to swing. They don't get trapped in petty battles because they're built for bigger wars. If you're a Sigma man, remember this. The world might misread your silence, your mercy, or your patience. Let them. It's not your job to convince anyone of what you're capable of. It's your job to protect your peace, stand your ground when necessary, and never lower yourself to meet chaos with more chaos. Your strength is in your restraint. And when the moment calls for it, you don't just react, you end it. You're built differently. And that's not just rare, it's powerful beyond measure. Number one, they choose kindness, not weakness. Most people don't realize that when a Sigma man is being kind, it's not because he's powerless. It's because he's powerful enough to choose restraint. He's not trying to look tough or prove anything to anyone. He could easily crush egos, shut down disrespect, and remind people what real strength looks like. But he doesn't. Why? Because he knows that real power isn't about throwing your weight around. It's about knowing you could destroy and still choosing to build. Sigma men aren't allergic to conflict. They just see it for what it usually is, a complete waste of time. They refuse to be dragged into petty arguments or meaningless drama. They'd rather use their energy to create, to grow, to protect what actually matters. But when someone mistakes that kindness for weakness and keeps pushing, they flip a switch. And when that switch is flipped, it's not messy rage. It's cold, focused, unstoppable force. You see, the side they usually keep locked away isn't emotional outbursts or reckless anger. It's controlled, deliberate action that ends the nonsense without a second thought. No yelling, no warnings, just a quiet, brutal reminder that mercy was a privilege, not a guarantee. A Sigma man's kindness is a test most people don't even know they're taking. And when they fail it by disrespecting him, it's too late to start over. He's already decided. He's not going to argue or plead. He's going to handle it, whatever it is, in a way that leaves no room for misunderstandings. Choosing kindness is a strength most can't even comprehend. It takes more power to stay calm when you could tear everything down. Sigma men live with that power every day. They just choose not to use it unless you really, really force their hand. And when you do, you won't meet the nice guy anymore. You'll meet the side he keeps locked away, and trust me, that's a side you don't want to meet. Number two, they give second chances, not unlimited chances. Sigma men are patient, sometimes to a fault. They'll give you the benefit of the doubt. They'll let the small stuff slide. They'll even forgive what others would have cut you off for instantly. But here's the truth most people don't see. Just because they don't react doesn't mean they didn't notice. They don't explode. They don't call you out in public. They don't do petty revenge. What they do is observe, quietly, closely. And when you cross the line one too many times, they don't start a fight. They start the exit. No announcement, no argument, no last words. Just a clean break and a door that never opens again. You see, their patience isn't unlimited, it's measured. Every time you take their kindness for granted, every time you think you can get away with something because they're too chill to react, they're taking mental notes. You think you're safe because they smiled and moved on? No. That smile was the receipt being printed. They give second chances because they understand people make mistakes. But if you start thinking you can repeatedly test their boundaries without consequences, you'll find yourself locked out, permanently. Sigma men don't do circles. They don't go back and forth. Once they decide someone no longer belongs in their space, that decision is final. And here's the twist. When they cut you off, they don't hate you. They don't need to. You just no longer matter. This is the kind of patience people mistake for weakness, until they realize it was grace. Grace that had a limit, forgiveness that wasn't blind, understanding that, eventually ran out of excuses. So if a Sigma man has kept you in his life after a mistake, don't take that lightly. It means he saw something worth saving. But keep pushing and you'll learn the hard way. He was never passive. He was just documenting your exit in silence. Number 3, they have a predator's patience. When a Sigma man is pushed, insulted, or underestimated, he doesn't react the way most people do. He doesn't panic. He doesn't throw a fit. He doesn't scramble to defend himself. Instead, he waits, silently, calmly, almost too calmly. That's because Sigma men move with a predator's patience. They're not playing checkers. They're playing chess. And the best chess players don't rush their moves. They study, they watch. They let you make mistake after mistake while they stay 3 steps ahead. See, a Sigma man knows that emotional reactions give away your power. They expose your hand. So while others are wasting energy yelling and swinging wildly, he's sitting back, gathering information, calculating the best time to act. He's not trying to win the next 10 minutes. He's planning how to win forever. And when he moves, it's surgical, it's brutal, it's final. There's no back and forth, no second chances, no negotiating. When a Sigma man decides to strike, whether that's cutting someone off, exposing a betrayal, taking an opportunity, or delivering a consequence, it's over before the other person even knows what happened. No drama, no noise, just a clean, precise outcome that leaves no room for recovery. Most people never even see it coming because they confused his silence for weakness. They thought the lack of a reaction meant they were safe. What they didn't realize was that the more silent he was, the more dangerous he was becoming. Patience isn't a delay tactic for Sigma men, it's a weapon. It's the ability to wait for the perfect moment when the odds are stacked completely in their favor and then hit so hard that nothing can be rebuilt. So if you ever cross a Sigma man and hear nothing but silence, that's not forgiveness. That's the countdown, and once it hits 0, it's already too late. Number 4, they don't escalate, they end. When conflict comes knocking, most people jump straight into defense mode. They argue, they shout, they try to one-up each other in a messy game of who can be louder, nastier, or more stubborn. Not Sigma men. They don't escalate situations, they end them. Sigma men understand something most people never figure out. The longer you argue, the more control you give away. Getting dragged into an emotional back and forth is exactly what weak people want. Because it means you're dancing to their tune. But Sigma men refuse to dance. If a situation starts turning into an emotional tug-of-war, they make a simple choice. Stay silent or shut it down completely. And when they shut it down, it's not with screaming or threats. It's with something far more devastating. Detachment. A Sigma man doesn't need to win the argument. He wins by making the argument irrelevant. He steps back. He stops responding. He removes his energy, his attention, and most importantly, his presence. And when a Sigma man removes his presence, it hits harder than any insult could. He's not interested in proving anything. He doesn't waste breath trying to convince people who aren't worth the effort. He knows who he is. And he knows silence can be the loudest statement you'll ever hear. Sometimes ending a situation means walking away mid-sentence without a single look back. Sometimes it means delivering a final sharp truth that leaves no room for rebuttal and then disappearing from the conversation altogether. Either way, the outcome is the same. The game stops. The drama dies. The power shifts. While others are tangled up in endless emotional battles, a Sigma man has already moved on, stronger, colder, and completely unfazed. Because in his world, real strength isn't about fighting for hours. It's about making sure there's nothing left to fight about. Number 5, they prefer walking away, but they're ruthless when cornered. Sigma men aren't looking for battles. They're not hunting for drama or chasing fights to prove how tough they are. Truth is, they'd rather just walk away, silently, cleanly. They believe their peace is worth more than winning any argument or flexing their strength in front of people who don't matter. But here's where most people make a deadly mistake. They confuse his willingness to walk away with weakness. They think because he chooses peace, he can't handle war. Big mistake. Because if you ever push a Sigma man into a corner, if you take away his space to walk, if you cut off every exit, if you force his hand, that's when you meet a completely different animal. And trust me, you won't like it. When a Sigma man is cornered, he doesn't panic. He doesn't lash out wildly. He becomes precise, cold, focused, All that quiet patience, all that calm energy that looked like passiveness, it flips instantly. And suddenly you're facing someone who knows exactly how to destroy the threat. Fast, clean, and without wasting a single move. A Sigma man doesn't fight because he enjoys it. He fights because you left him no choice. And when that moment comes, he fights with the full force of someone who's been holding back for a very long time. And the scariest part, he doesn't just defend himself, he dismantles. He doesn't swing wildly, hoping to survive. He ends things so efficiently you don't even realize you lost until it's already over. People love to test quiet men, thinking their silence means softness. They have no idea it's the opposite. Quiet men don't seek trouble because they know exactly how dangerous they can be when trouble finds them. So if a Sigma man chooses to leave you alone, consider it a gift. But if you back him into a corner, get ready to meet the version of him you really weren't prepared for. Number 6, they absorb until they detonate. One of the biggest mistakes people make with Sigma men is thinking they can keep pushing and pushing and pushing without consequence. After all, he seems so calm, right? So patient, so good at letting things slide. What they don't realize is Sigma men aren't unaffected. They're absorbing. Every disrespect, every betrayal, every cheap shot gets silently logged. No shouting, no warnings, just quiet collection. But here's the truth. Even the strongest dam can only hold so much pressure. And when a Sigma man reaches his breaking point, it's not a messy meltdown. It's an execution. When he detonates, it's not screaming or fists flying. It's cold, calculated, final. He doesn't swing blindly trying to hurt everything in his path. No, he picks exactly what needs to be destroyed and eliminates it with scary precision. The explosion isn't emotional chaos, it's strategic. The relationship that disrespected him, over. The job that undervalued him, walked away from without a second glance. The so-called friend who kept crossing lines, cut off so cleanly they'll be spinning, wondering what happened. And the scariest part, there are no second chances after the detonation. Sigma men don't half forgive. Once they've decided a line has been crossed, they erase. Their silence was their mercy, their patience was their grace, their calm was their warning. If someone didn't listen, they don't get another opportunity to play the same games. A Sigma man's breaking point isn't loud, it's absolute. And when it comes, it doesn't leave a door open for repair. It leaves ashes. So if you ever see a Sigma man taking hit after hit in silence, don't fool yourself into thinking he's weak. Understand, you're standing in front of a ticking bomb, and once he decides you're no longer worth absorbing, you'll find out exactly how surgical destruction looks when it's done by a man who never wanted the fight, but refuses to lose it. Number 7, they fight when peace becomes betrayal. Sigma men will do just about anything to protect their peace. They'll stay silent when others are loud. They'll walk away from nonsense instead of getting dragged into it. They'll choose understanding over ego, patience over pride, not because they're scared, but because they know peace is the real power move. But here's the line no one should ever cross. If keeping the peace starts to cost them their self-respect, if staying quiet starts to compromise who they are, that's when a Sigma man stops turning the other cheek and starts swinging. And when he picks a fight, it's not emotional, it's not reckless, it's surgical. He doesn't fight just for the sake of pride. He fights because survival demands it. He fights because backing down would mean betraying the man he's spent years becoming, and that's a price he will never pay. And here's the brutal truth. When a Sigma man finally chooses to fight, he doesn't aim to negotiate. He aims to win. And more often than not, he does, because he's been patient for so long, studying every move, every weakness, every lie you thought he didn't notice. When he steps into battle, it's already over. You just don't know it yet. Sigma men believe in peace, but never at the cost of their soul. They won't let fake friends, disloyal partners, toxic bosses, or manipulative people rewrite their values just to keep the peace. That's not peace, that's self-destruction. And Sigma men are builders, not destroyers, especially when it comes to themselves. If you ever see a Sigma man suddenly draw a line and step into the arena, understand this, he didn't choose the fight lightly. He chose it because there was no honorable way to stay silent anymore. And when he fights like a man who knows exactly what's at stake and refuses to lose himself to anyone. Number 8, they have a war chest of self-control. When people think about danger, they usually imagine someone who's loud, aggressive, always ready to snap. But Sigma men, Their danger doesn't come from being out of control. It comes from how controlled they really are. A Sigma man carries around a full arsenal of emotions: anger, pain, frustration, ambition. But he locks it all up inside a war chest built from pure discipline. He doesn't blurt things out just because he's mad. He doesn't throw punches just because he's challenged. He doesn't lash out because his pride took a hit. He holds the line patiently, silently, relentlessly. And that's what makes him so unsettling when you really think about it. It's not that he can't unleash hell. It's that he chooses not to until he absolutely has no other option. And when that moment finally comes, it's like a dam that's been holding back a raging river for years, snapping wide open in one earth-shattering surge. All that anger, all that strength, all that cold, calculated energy comes pouring out at once, not wild, not messy, not emotional, precise, deadly, unstoppable. Most people waste their energy blowing up over little things. Sigma men conserve theirs, adding layer after layer to that hidden war chest until the power they hold is enough to destroy anything that threatens their values, their loved ones, or their dignity. And the scariest part, you never see it coming. 1 minute, he's calm, measured, composed. The next, he's dismantling whatever dared to cross the final line, and there's no undoing it. A Sigma man's self-control isn't just impressive, it's a weapon. And if you're smart, you'll pray you never see what happens when he decides it's time to finally open the vault. Number 9, they respect freedom, including their own. Sigma men are fiercely protective of one thing: freedom. It's not just about the freedom to do what they want, it's the freedom to live life on their own terms, to carve their own path, and to exist without being boxed in by the expectations of others. And this isn't something they take lightly. They'll protect your independence like their own. They'll cheer for your growth, give you the space to thrive, and support your right to make decisions that shape your life. A Sigma man values freedom so much that he never imposes his will on others. He's all about mutual respect, as long as everyone's free to be themselves. But the moment someone tries to threaten his own independence, that's when you see the other side of him. Sigma men don't do well with control. They don't bow to pressure or bend to authority just because someone tells them they should. The second their freedom is on the line, when someone tries to trap them, manipulate them, or control their movements, that's when they draw the line. And it's not pretty. They don't negotiate. They don't sit down and try to work things out. They break the cage, even if it means burning every bridge in the process. To a Sigma man, their freedom is their most sacred right, and they'll defend it at all costs. They'd rather walk away from everything than let someone put them in a box or force them into a life that isn't theirs to live. And if you're the one who's trying to control them, brace yourself. You'll quickly learn that a Sigma man's willingness to lose everything is far greater than his desire to be controlled. Freedom isn't just something they respect in others, it's the essence of who they are. And if you threaten that, get ready to see the full force of a man who values his independence more than anything. Number 10. They're strategic, not reactionary. Sigma men are not impulsive. They don't lash out when provoked. They don't react on the spot or get caught up in emotional whirlwinds. Instead, they think. They assess. They take their time. The chaos and drama of others don't faze them. They stand back, calmly observing, gathering information and waiting for the perfect moment to act. When life hits them with a challenge or someone steps out of line, they don't dive into a knee-jerk reaction. While most people get emotional and messy in those moments, Sigma men stay focused. They don't see anger as a tool, they see it as a distraction. And they refuse to be distracted by anything that might cloud their judgment. Instead, they operate on a deeper level. They calculate every move, weighing the consequences and choosing the most effective strategy. There's no rush, no need for instant gratification. They understand that the true power lies in patience and precision. It's not about being the loudest or the quickest, it's about being the most effective. When they decide it's time to make a move, you won't see it coming. It'll be subtle, well-planned, and surgically executed. Every action will have a clear purpose, and it'll leave nothing for their adversary to cling to. Their response is rarely what anyone expects, and that's what makes it so powerful. A Sigma man's strike is devastating, not because it's quick or explosive, but because it's flawless. The damage isn't in the moment of conflict, it's in the aftermath. When they make their move, there's no undoing it. The outcome is sealed, and the consequences are final. So when you push a Sigma man to his limits, understand this: he's already calculated your next move. And when he chooses to act, you'll be left with no way to recover. He doesn't need to react in the heat of the moment because his strategy is what makes him unshakable. Number 11, they see the world without illusions. Sigma men don't walk through life with rose-colored glasses on. They see people exactly as they are, not as they wish they were. They understand that not everyone has good intentions, that loyalty is rare, and that kindness is often mistaken for weakness. And yet, despite all that, they choose to be kind. Not because they're naive, not because they're blind to how ugly people can get, but because they refuse to let the world turn them cold before it's necessary. See, for Sigma men, kindness is a reflection of their strength, not their ignorance. They know exactly what's happening around them. They can read the hidden agendas, spot the lies, feel the manipulation in the air, and still decide to stay calm, to stay good-hearted for as long as possible. But make no mistake, that kindness has an expiration date. When someone shows their true colors and crosses the line, Sigma men don't waste time feeling betrayed or heartbroken. They don't spiral into endless questions like, why would they do this to me? They already knew the risks. They were just giving you a chance. And when that chance gets burned, they don't flinch. They drop the kindness, drop the act, and meet the situation with whatever level of coldness is necessary, without a shred of regret. Because in their world, it's not about being perfect. It's about being real, about moving through life with both eyes wide open, about being kind by choice and ruthless when needed. Sigma men don't carry hate, they carry reality, and reality doesn't apologize. If you're a Sigma, understand this: your clear vision is your armor. Your ability to see people without illusions makes you powerful. Never apologize for it, and never let anyone shame you for choosing when to be gentle and when to unleash the side of you that doesn't play nice anymore. In final words. So, the next time someone mistakes your silence for weakness or your kindness for softness, let them. You don't owe the world explanations, you owe yourself peace. Sigma men don't bark, they observe, they build, they protect, and when necessary, they destroy. But only when the line has been crossed so many times that silence would become self-betrayal. You are not here to entertain people's egos or educate them on your worth. You are here to live fully, with strength wrapped in calm, with fire hidden behind your patience. The nicest men are often the most dangerous because their restraint isn't fear, it's maturity. Keep being the man who doesn't beg for respect but earns it through action. Keep being the one who holds his ground without needing a crowd to cheer him on. And if someone ever thinks they can push you too far without consequences, remind them, politely, that some men don't explode. They erase. And to the world, never mistake a Sigma's silence for surrender. It's often the final warning you won't hear twice. Thank you for watching. God bless you.